When discussing boxing matchups and future mega fights within the sport, none come more mouth-watering than the current world champion and TMT fighter in Gervonta "Tank" Davis, taking on one of the sport's pound-for-pound superstars, Ukraine's Vasyl Lomachenko. But if they ever were to face off, how would the power, precision, and counter-punching of Davis match up with the cat-like reflexes and almost perfect technique of former world champion Vasyl Lomachenko? In this one, we'll be taking a look over their previous fights, breaking down both men's fighting styles, and discussing the possible outcomes if these two extraordinary boxers were ever to face off in the squared circle. But before we do, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a 26-year-old boxer and current world champion, standing at just over 5 foot 5 inches with an unflawed record of 25 victories, with an astounding 25 of those coming by way of knockout and technical knockout, and currently hold no defeats on his resume. Granted, bar a few, the names on his resume aren't the most intimidating nor accomplished of fighters, but every time Tank has stepped into the ring, he's done his job, and most of the time, has done so in devastating fashion.
Is this the future of boxing? Absolutely.
Hailing from Baltimore, Maryland, USA, Tank began his professional outing in 2013, making very quick work of most opponents he was faced with. But although the knockouts were impressive, because of the talent people knew he possessed from an early age, the team he had around him, and the type of opponents he was matched with, it's hard to say these types of performances weren't expected from Tank early on. But as he would progress in his career, the story, more or less, remained the same for his opponents, and in early 2017, Gervonta Davis would land his first world title shot against Puerto Rican boxer Jose Pedraza for the IBF World Super Featherweight title. Once again, Tank put on a clinic inside the ring and finished Pedraza in the 7th round, picking up his first belt. Only a year later, he would go on to fight another strap, the WBA's World Super Featherweight title, in an expectant fashion. Gervonta would once again walk away with another championship as he finished Jesus Soler via a 3rd-round TKO.
Can Davis close it out and win another world title? Look at this power, and this one is over!
As the young American hadn't faced many fighters of real note and had become a somewhat dominant world champion up until that point, boxing fans wanted to see Tank in a real fight against a well-known, proven opponent. And after some anticipation, the fans got their wish on the 31st of October, 2020, when Gervonta Davis would take on a renowned Mexican boxer and former world champion, Leo Santa Cruz. Before the fight, the money seemed to be on the more assured, proven, top-level fighter in Santa Cruz, with many believing Davis's inexperience at the elite level would get exposed in the matchup. But on this night, the bookmakers had it all wrong. With arguably one of the most devastating, brutal knockouts of the year, Davis unleashed a left uppercut inside the guard of Santa Cruz and slept him on the spot in round 6.
Fold from his... Oh my! Davis! A lethal left uppercut!
The referee immediately waved the contest off, and Gervonta Davis, once again, proved his critics wrong. One man who also isn't a stranger to having people in awe and shock within the boxing ring is former world champion Vasyl Lomachenko, possibly the most gifted ever boxer to come out of something. As an amateur, it's safe to say he completely dominated the scene, possessing one of the most outstanding boxing records the amateur ranks has ever seen, holding 396 wins with only 1 loss before he made the move to professional boxing. And when he did so, everyone knew about it. In only his 2nd professional bout, Lomachenko made a leap for the WBO title against Orlando Salido, but came up short that night via a split decision loss. But after the defeat, Loma came back and won the very same WBO title against American Gary Russell Jr., and then proceeded to go on a spree of defending and winning numerous championships within 3 weight classes against some highly ranked names in Jorge Linares and Guillermo Rigondeaux. Named October 2020, American fighter Teofimo Lopez would shock the world and live out the underdog story by claiming Loma's world championships via unanimous decision.
Champion of the world! The takeover! Teofimo!
But despite the shock loss, many in the boxing community do still consider Lomachenko to not only be a force within the ring, but still consider him as one of the best living pound-for-pound fighters today. But how would the Ukrainian match up against a young, unblemished, hungry world champion in Gervonta "Tank" Davis?
Tank's a great fighter, man. He has a great character, great fighter.
As mentioned, his incredible speedy footwork both on the offense and defense, sometimes slipping within centimeters of punches and coming right back with his own. A true sign of a boxer who knows how to use their feet well.
Loma is like, he's on another level. He's an outlier, Ellie. He really is.
Although Loma has
anybody, and a lot of times I told about Gervonta Davis, I'm ready to fight with him, but
not to mention his employment of tactics inside of the ring, the effectiveness in which Loma can read and calculate his opponents while boxing is truly remarkable. However, for every boxer fighter, there's always going to be a puncher. And in this instance, Gervonta Davis may just be one of the most devastating pound-for-pound punchers around at the moment.
Tank is probably 10 years or 11 years younger than Lomachenko. Lomachenko will be 40 before you know it. There's no rush, Tank.
His record speaks for itself, with every fight bar one finishing before the final bell at the hands of Tank. But it's not just his power that makes him a threat to someone like Lomachenko. It's his ability to counterpunch on the back foot, to mix up his shot variation to both head and body. And if that wasn't enough, Tank has shown he possesses the boxing brain to pick the right shots at the right time, just as we saw against Leo Santa Cruz.
Ready to spring out. There's that lead right hook by
found in this fight, and he wants to get back to it. It's his own left hook.
In many ways, this is a classic matchup between boxer versus puncher. But the interesting thing about this potential mega fight is that neither fighter is one-dimensional.
But you know, I think Gervonta Davis, he's best of the best fighter in the Twitter.
Lomachenko isn't just a boxer with no power or aggressiveness, nor is Tank just a brawler who doesn't value the importance of tactics and economic movement within the boxing ring.
He's a great fighter. He did great tonight. You can't take that from him.
Since the fashion in which Davis knocked out Leo Santa Cruz, and since Lomachenko's loss to teofimo Lopez, some may have been swayed a little more than before when talking about the possibility of this matchup. But a large percentage still remain firm that although Davis has put on a handful of show-stopping performances against decent opposition, Lomachenko would be all wrong for him, with Loma fans reaffirming that the Ukrainian's movement, persistence, and technical ability would be something Tank has never been faced with in the ring before. But on the other side of the fence, you have fans of Gervonta claiming that he is worth all the hype.
And power, Tank ain't just the guy that's gonna sit there. He's got speed, he's got angles, he's got power, so.
And that no matter who is tasked within the division, Tank's power will always have to show up somewhere in the bout. And when it does, it will spell the end for the Ukrainian. Will this fight ever happen? In boxing, you never quite can be sure. But one thing's for certain, if these two superstars were to ever face off in the ring, it would be one hell of a fight.